I told you yesterday the Western Australian government has again ruled out reopening their hard border before Christmas. That's another cruel blow to families looking to be reunited by the end of the year.
Doing the right thing by the state, making sure that we remain as healthy as possible, keeping COVID out whilst our vaccination rates continue to climb each and every day, and ensuring that when the time is right next year, we'll reopen to those states in a safe way.
Next year. It's just insane. Now, Mark McGowan and the South Australian Premier Stephen Marshall and the Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk, they continue to deny reality, sticking their heads in the sand, refusing to live with the virus and being cruel to people. They're more interested in playing politics and scoring cheap shots, including this smug swipe at New South Wales.
They're all getting excited about having a haircut and drinking a beer, whereas we've been able to have haircuts and drink beers for a long period of time wherever you might like. In fact, you can go to some places and have a haircut and drink a beer at the same time.
I wouldn't be bragging about that haircut. It's about as clever as mine, I would reckon, Mark McGowan. Let's bring in Gemma Tognini in Perth. She's the Executive Director of GT Communications and a commentator and columnist. Good to talk to you again, Gemma. I mean, tell me, are there not millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people in Western Australia who are actually keen to see their children, their relatives, their friends visit them for Christmas? People who missed out last year?
Chris, for my sins, I love to test public sentiment in a really basic but pretty powerful way, and that is to jump over to social media, Facebook most notably, and check the comments on the Premier's Facebook page and comments to the West Australians page upon reporting of these matters. And let me tell you, oh my gosh, there's no love fest for State Daddy anymore, Chris. It's simply a relentless stream of people going, you had my trust, you've broken my trust. All I want to do is see my family. Couldn't see my family last year. Can't believe I'm not going to see them this year. And I think the thing that was most offensive about the Premier's framing of this conversation this week was, I want you to have a safe and lovely, normal Christmas. Like, first of all, Premier, there's nothing normal about being separated from your family for nearly 2 years. Second of all, I'm not particularly interested in what kind of Christmas the Premier wants me to have. I'd like to make that choice myself. It is an extraordinary set of events. And as you say, denying reality, very recently in the last 30, 45 minutes, the Premier has delayed the border open to Queensland. That was supposed to happen, I understand, tomorrow or midnight tonight Perth time, but now it's been delayed again because of one case. I mean, it is an absolute farce. I know people who this week happily booked trips to Queensland to see their family, and the reverse is true. And now all of a sudden, again, there's no plan for this bloke.
It's just over the top. Now, you, like me, want to encourage everyone to get vaccinated. With certainly no anti-vaxxers. I encourage everybody to get vaccinated because you're helping other people stop the spread, yada, yada, yada. But he is mandating more than 75% of the workforce in Western Australia. That's just wrong, isn't it?
Well, it is wrong. I am vaccinated willingly and happily. I do not. I fundamentally disagree with vaccine mandates. Fundamentally disagree with them. That is my liberal view on that, Chris. And the interesting change in narrative here was the bloke whose government has spent the last 2 years chest beating and saying, how good are borders? How good are we? And then all of a sudden wonders why there's hesitancy. And the highest level of hesitancy is in his electorate and the electorate of the Health Minister, Roger Cook. And now they're finding themselves in this situation where there is rumbling in the streets here, Chris. Everybody has done the right thing, and now you've got a government that is unprepared and a health system that is unprepared. And by the best estimates, will take years to repair. That's not going to happen in the next 3 months. We're talking years and years and years. And it is an extraordinary change in narrative from a bloke who has been, like I said, chest beating about how good it is here, to sort of turning around and taking the biggest stick possible and saying, you don't do it, here's a $100,000 fine, here's a $20,000 fine. It is just an extraordinary about face. And interesting to note that last night when that news broke, there was an impromptu protest at State Parliament, a couple of hundred people, 500, 600 people, which you might not say is very much, but as an impromptu protest is pretty telling.
It's some resistance finally arising in the West. Thanks for joining us, Gemma. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Gemma Tognini there in Perth. Look, so many people on the east, and they're so keen to get back and see families at Christmas. You think common sense would prevail. They're vaccinated and they're ready to travel. Let's hope the Perth cricket test with the Poms too doesn't go over to Perth. We're going to have a second test at the MCG or the SCG come January.